Oh man, the cinematographers of those, gotta give them props.
That's pretty cool.
I don't know how they do it. All right. How's everyone doing? This is episode 4 of TOC TALKS, and today we got Mr. Andy Croteau. Andy, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Do I look at the cameras?
You don't have to look at the cameras if you want to. I just do it for the intro, but and yeah, this is sponsored by Kentucky Cold Snacks, beer from Montana, I believe. I don't know where, but Parker really likes these.
It's not Missoula.
It could be Missoula. I don't know. I can't tip it over sideways to see now because I opened it. But yeah, Kentucky Cold Snacks. Good stuff.
Not bad.
I'm going to sip it because I can't burp, so carbonation sucks. So my thought today was just to chat about the good old days after the band left, the original band left in 2015, and how it came to be that you are now in the band, but also all of the history and times, stories, whatever happened during basically the period of 2015, 2016, 2017, and I think maybe the early parts of 2018.
Yeah.
We might have called it in 2017.
I think that was the year we kind of just sort of
Yeah. So my memory of this is what happened, and you can tell me if I'm fill in the blanks, but the band left right after the Norma Jean tour, 2015, and we were, well, I was upset, very upset, and I didn't know what to do because it's like everyone's gone, you're the only member, but you also play guitar, so you're not a front man. And so I started having to think, how am I going to replace these people? And I want to say at the time, wasn't I recording a band that you were in, like Revision Scheme or something?
I think you had just finished recording the Revision Scheme stuff. But yeah, I kind of just been around. You were recording several projects of mine, I think.
Yeah, it might have been some solo stuff that I was doing with you. But anyways, I remember you were upstairs in our music room at my parents', and I was like, hey, dude, so here's what's happening. Would you maybe want to be a part of the band? I think that's how I worded it. Or maybe I said, do you want to be a tour member? I can't remember that part, but I remember you going, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think I had just come over to record something because you've just pretty much become my guy at that point. And then, yeah, I think we're pretty much just yeah, so so this happened and there's a spot and it's yours if you want it. And, yeah, I think I took some time to think about it, but.
Yeah. And at the time, too, our bass player, Ian, what was funny is that when the band quit, they actually quit when I was moving into Ian's house because Ian and I lived together for a year.
Yeah.
And I was moving my stuff in, and they pulled up and they're like, hey, we're done with the band now. And I'm like, what? And then they left, and then I went inside and I'm like, guess what, Ian? My band just quit on me. And he's like, do you need a bass player? Literally. So that was an instant. So I was like, I got a bass player already. That's easy. But then I was like, I gotta get a guitar player. So then I asked you. So, and then we got Cody, and Cody had filled in for you guys in the past on tours when Parker couldn't. Yeah, when Parker was in high school a lot. Some of his years when school was more important because he was failing. We would get a fill-in drummer. So we had Cody do a Kingdom of Giants tour, and then I think he filled in on another tour. I can't remember which one. And we had a couple other drummers fill in for us too. Remember, we had a guy named Abishai from Wolves of the Gate fill in on the Hawthorne Heights tour. And then Sammy from Forevermore, he's in the band Chiefs now, but Chief, yeah. But anyways, Cody was kind of a guy that was like, oh, Cody will definitely be a part of this, and Cody's been in your bands too, so it's kind of like a win-win on that end. So
yeah, he's kind of just one of those guys who's fun to have on tour.
He's fun. He's big. He's a tall guy.
Yes,
he can be very scary. So for me, I love that because when you're touring and when you're touring in sketchy parts of the country, it's nice to have a group of guys that have big beards and are tall and big and a little bit intimidating.
Yeah, well, I feel like all of us together now, especially when we have Kyle with us.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty intimidating.
Yeah.
Or we can be.
We can be. But at the time, remember, what was that tour we did? Was it Hotel Books? Where they were like, you guys are scary. Remember that? Was that tour? There was one tour where the bands felt so intimidated to be around us.
Yeah, and I think it was just they were all small guys too. So we just look big.
I'm technically the small guy. And the other funny part about it is I went from being the oldest of the band to being the youngest of the band because you all are like a year or two older than me. Mm-hmm. So I felt like I was the immature baby sometimes because I was so used to dealing with Parker and TJ and Kyle being immature people in my mind at the time. And then you guys are all working, have kids, are married, and I'm like, now I'm the immature piece of shit. So there was a lot of growing up that happened during that time.
Yeah, and I feel like Ian and Cody and I had been playing music together for so long. We already kind of had somewhat of a dynamic together, and we just already knew each other really well. So I don't know. I just felt like we kept that going, and then it was just all right. Now we're following Dawson.
Yeah. So, maybe explain just the history of like how you got into music, and maybe some of the history of you meeting Cody and Ian, and like the bands that you were in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and kind of just like the backstory.
So yeah, me, Cody, and Ian were in a band called Straight to Our Enemies, and that's how we met Dawson and the other guys. They were just little kids, and they came to open up for one of our shows in Spokane. Parker was like 12 years old, and you guys showed up in your dad's truck and were pulling Kyle's big keyboard out of the back and hauling all this stuff into this little tiny dive bar. And we were all thinking, what the heck is going on?
That was at the Cretan Hop, right?
Yeah.
That was with APV and you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that. That was a very iconic show. Yeah. Because that was the thing. We were very intimidated by a couple high school bands. Like Pyrrhic Victory was a band that we went to school with, and they were a year older than us, and we were very intimidated. And we'd always heard rumors of this band called Straight to Our Enemies, and they were friends with Pyrrhic Victory. So we played this show where we like opened for these two bands, and it was very... It was cool because I got to see kind of more of like, this is what a band's supposed to look like on stage, because at the time we were very like Dream Theater-esque. We weren't even the Ongoing Concept, I don't think. If we were, it was like right when we had just done our EP. I can't remember. But
yeah, I think it was around that time. I remember you guys had songs that you had recorded at least.
I think so. Yeah, but we were still very like shy and didn't really know how to talk to people. Definitely didn't know how to talk to people on stage. And we were too young to do anything that could calm our nerves, such as drinking. And so I remember seeing you're like 3 songs in, you're like, I got the beer burps, guys.
I had just turned 21 at that point, I think. So I was just going hard at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you and Ian and Cody started working with me when I say like maybe like a year later.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where the friendship began.
I think we started with my side project. The Last Cowboy was one of the first things I think you kind of practiced recording.
I want to say it was that plus Stop in the Name of Love, which was a Straight to Our Enemies song. Lust. Sorry, not Stop in the Name of Love.
Yeah, that's Straight to Our Enemies song too.
Yeah, and that was the first time that I'd really started like working on production and mixing, and you guys were like, I did it for free. And I want to say we redid that song multiple times. You went to a different studio, did it there. I don't even know if that song, did it ever make it anywhere? Because like, I feel like every time we're almost to put it out, it was like, we're going to re-record it.
No, we had it out. That version you recorded, we had out for a while.
Okay.
But that was like still kind of the MySpace days.
Yeah, it was MySpace. Yeah. Jeez. Crazy. So after that time period, did you guys kind of go on a break and you were just kind of doing, Revision Scheme? That was the other band.
Yeah, I kind of just started playing guitar more often, so I started writing music with Cody on the side, and then we met a couple other guys and started experimenting with pop punk, alternative style music, and just formed a little fun project to jam around with.
And I remember that record, that was a big one because that was a full-length record, and that was probably the time when I felt most confident in producing and mixing. And I still like listen to that record, and it still sounds really good. I'm pretty impressed, like considering we were still novice in a lot of areas, it still sounds good. And it was a fun time. What tour?
I think that was probably the best sonically sounding any music I had put out up until that point.
Yeah.
So I remember that being really cool.
Yeah, that was fun. I want to say there was a tour that Cody joined us on in between doing that record. What was it? Dang it. I don't think it was Kingdom of Giants. It was, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But, I'm just looking at all these fucking chickens out here. Our neighbor's chickens. There's like 15 of them. Oh my God. It's like they're all roosters. There's only like 3 hens and there's like 8 roosters. So they double team everybody.
And some duckies?
Oh, that's my yard. Yeah, we got ducks. So going back to 2015, the guys had left and we're kind of stuck in this situation, or I'm stuck in this situation where I got to find guys, which is worked out, which was great. But then you had to figure out, how are we going to do this tour? Because right before the Norma Jean tour ended, we committed to a Hail the Sun, A Lot Like Birds, and Stolas tour. And we were really worried about how are we going to pull this off, considering we now have none of the original members except for me. And I don't know how to frontman, and we're doing a pretty big tour, and you guys don't know any of the songs. You might have heard them, but you don't know how to play them. So it was like this crazy like overhaul where everyone was learning all of our songs over again. I was learning how to scream really good. I had screamed before, like in previous records, but I wasn't like.
We rented that place to practice out in Spokane that had like a stage and a sound system for just to like practice our moves.
Yeah, so that was the thing we did. We actually rented a spot, drove all of our gear out there. It was kind of like a learning curve on like, how are we going to set up all the backing track stuff? We kind of wanted to get all the kinks out because I don't think Cody had really done. He had done backing tracks, but it's like now you're kind of like the helm, and these are some new songs. Like there's just a lot of weird stuff. And then we wanted to focus on stage presence, especially for me, in the sense that I just felt like I couldn't compare to Kyle. Kyle's just so crazy. So I was trying to figure out how I can do some of the stuff he's doing, but then be able to have the energy and the breath to be able to sing and do his parts and be crazy on stage. And so we rented that place out like 4 times or
that
something.
helped us figure out like what parts I needed to kind of help out on vocally.
That's true. Yeah, because Andy is the front man of Straight to Our Enemies, and he's an amazing vocalist as well. So we were able to figure out there's certain parts that you can do some screams on and help me out. Let me drink some water and catch my breath. But yeah, that was I forgot about that. I remember the first time we did it, I went so hard that I like almost passed out because I was like trying to do all of the energy that Kyle had, just headbanging as hard as I could go. And I think it was 2 songs in and I'm like, goodbye. Like, this is not going to work. So I found a way of like using less craziness, but still having the energy, compromising a little bit. I don't know. That was a weird time. We were also broke as hell. I was so broke, but we still did it.
Yeah, I remember the van broke down on the way to the first show on that tour. We hadn't even experienced our first show with you yet. And
the alternator went out.
Shit, guys.
The alternator went out in was it Mount Shasta, California. I think the first show was in the Boulevard. The venue is called the Boulevard. I think, is that Sacramento? It's a very...
I thought it was Goldfields.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
I think it was that Sacramento show, yeah.
And yeah, the alternator went out. I remember going to that river right next to the mechanic where like the water hadn't seen daylight in like 10,000 years. It was running down from Mount Shasta. So that was cool. And then, we got to the show. And it was funny because the band Stolus, they had just lost their vocalist. And so Carlo, who's was the drummer for Stolus, it was his first show being a frontman too.
Oh, yeah.
So we were like meeting all these bands. We'd toured with Hail the Sun before. We never toured with A Lot Like Birds. And it was crazy. The other crazy part about that tour was that Kurt Travis quit the band like a week before the tour even started.
Yeah, and Donovan did double sets.
Yeah, Donovan
filled in for...
Which is insane.
A Lot Like Birds.
That guy is insane.
That was so fun to watch, though.
It was fun. But it was crazy that there was 3 vocalists that were just thrown into the ring of like something brand new that was a little bit intimidating. And Donovan killed it. Carlos, is it Carlos or Carlo? Carlo. Carlo. Dude, there's some fun times.
We stayed at his apartment in Vegas one time, and we couldn't get a hold of him to get in, so we just drove around yelling out of the windows, "Carlo!"
I remember you were just like on the tongue of the trailer, in between the trailer and the van, just yelling Carlo. Oh man. Yeah. But yeah, it was interesting. It was like that first show in Sacramento. I remember, me and Carlo and Donovan were just like, man, this is sketch, like we've never done this before. And then the show did amazing, and we were like, this is gonna be a fun time. And then it was crazy too, like that tour, that was when we played So What. That was a fun time. That was one of the best shows we've ever played, festival wise. It was like the perfect temperature. It was kind of cold out, so you could go really crazy and not get too sweaty. Trying to think of other stuff that we did, but anyways, it was a good test run, and we had a fun time. And I think after that, either we started working on a new album or we went on tour. Was it Capstan? Was that the tour we did with them?
I think the next tour we did was with Gatherers and Hotel Books.
Okay.
And then after that is when I think we started writing Places.
So when it came to that, what was the workflow? Because it's been a second. Were you over a lot, helping me out, kind of sitting, watching me do stuff and giving me yays or nays?
Yeah, most of the time. I know we procrastinated a lot until it was kind of, we were getting close to the deadline, and then I would just come over once a week.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of it was just me having input on your stuff, and then I'd come over, and when I was there, we'd try to like lay down one of my ideas just so you could have it to put into a song or try and turn it into something if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think the song, I want to say the song Domesticated was very influenced by something I think you and Cody had written, or at least started writing, and then I kind of implemented it and then put it into an ongoing concept vibe, if I think correctly. I feel like there's another song that was like that too.
Well, I remember we just needed one more song, and we had like 4 or 5 unfinished, just like half done songs that we couldn't choose from, and that's when we wrote Off the Cuff, because it was like I had just thrown a whole kind of song together, and you're just like, I'm singing off the top of my head.
Oh yeah,
you're like, okay,
this
is gonna be the last song for the album.
Oh god, yeah, that was definitely how that goes. It's still a great song, but it was definitely one of those ones that was, when procrastination hits, sometimes you write stuff pretty well when you're under the pressure. That was good. But yeah, those lyrics are very last minute. God. Yeah. And then we kind of just took a break after that. I think we did one more tour. We did a tour with Idola, which was really, really fun. That was interesting too, because during that time, I feel like we were all feeling the pressure of just being on the road. I think financially we weren't doing well as a band, but financially you and Ian and Cody were struggling because you had to take so much time off.
Yeah.
And you have 2 kids, and Ian has 2 kids. Cody living life however he wants, but
yeah, and that one especially was a long one. I think it was almost like 5 weeks or
it was
something
long.
like that. And we were just gone, and we were just over it.
We got really into Dominion, the board game Dominion. Like, the thing about that tour was that I feel like, well, that was the thing, is that every band that was on that tour like either quit or went on hiatus, because Save Us from the Archon just quit after.
Yeah.
We went on hiatus, and so did Idola. But like every single person on that tour was so, like, you could see that, like, it's almost like there was an aura of just sad. Like, we were all sad. Like, we knew that it was probably going to be the last time that we did this, because the shows weren't doing super well.
I think we had all just come off of tours that kind of were doing well, and then it was something we were headlining, and it was just disappointing.
Yeah.
Like, some of the shows did well, but then there'd be some of the cities, it was just, 20 people would show up, and it'd be like, like, what are we doing? Like, we would just
and
be
like,
hanging in the parking lot playing Dominion, like you said.
Yeah. And I remember, there's some times that's where, like, the Idola guys, we really bonded, because I feel like everyone was just kind of like not bummed, but just realizing maybe the stressors of being away from home, not being with your family, not being with your friends, and appreciating that side of things, and also feeling like your entire life is built around this band, built around your identity. And I remember Andrew and I having multiple conversations in the van warming up just about how it sucks. Like, it sucks being on the road for weeks at a time to break even barely, but then you've only breaking even just to break even. You haven't made any money from a job. So you come home with stacked bills that you can't pay, and how do you do it, And he was in Dance Gavin Dance, so he was like, as soon as this tour is over, I got to go do that. It's like, I'm never going to be home. It was just like a lot of stuff. And I think we all just felt so burnt out. And yeah, after that tour, I think we might have done like a CD release little run for places. But after that, we just kind of said, let's call it. I got to get my financial situation figured out. So, but man, Dominion every night, that was so much fun. And if you guys don't know what Dominion is, check it out. It's one of the coolest board games. It's super fast, like 30 minutes long. And I remember buying, because no one had played it, and then I brought it out, and all the bands, we started playing it. And then at the end of the tour, I bought it from a game store, and I said, whoever wins gets it. Idola won it, so I gave it to those guys. And then a year after that, we were just constantly playing a Dominion online with Andrew and who's the other? I forgot his name. The guitar player, bass player of Idola? James, yeah. So James, Andrew, and I would play Dominion like once a week. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I don't think I had ever played any kind of card game like that until then.
It's not like super heavy on like knowledge, like Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh. Those games are really, I suck at those because I feel like I need to be so deep into the nerdy side of things. Dominion, anyone can pick up, and within 2 games, you've already understand the whole entire thing, which is really fun for people that are just wanting to have a casual play. So it was fun. With this past record, again, kind of run me through how, you were involved and just kind of the stuff that came from it. Or maybe we can go into the start of the band again and kind of how that transpired.
Yes.
Yeah, because in my recollection, it came down to me and Kyle playing pool multiple days a week and just kind of hinting at maybe like working together again. And it was me kind of really fragilely being careful, walking on eggshells around Parker and TJ. And I think I asked you what your thoughts were, and I think you were pretty open to it. But I can't remember like how it all kind of came to be.
Yeah, I don't really remember, honestly. I don't think it was really ever a question. I think you showed me what I think eventually became Feel Again. That's that demo.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I don't even remember what you said, but the guys just kind of were there again.
I know.
So, and
yeah, it's so weird. I almost feel like we like need to have like a full band podcast, which we will do. But I want to say that I had to make sure that Parker and TJ were on board before I even like.
No, we played a show. We played like.
Oh yeah, we did that.
Some sort of reunion show.
Nightmare.
It was a show that Ryan put on in Spokane that we all came back, and I just played with you guys, and you and Kyle kind of like did a team front man, and you played guitar on a couple songs.
Yeah, that's right. But then what happened was I asked Parker if he wanted to do a show again. He was like, "No, I'm done." And that was 2018. I think that was the very last show we did before we called it a hiatus. I kind of thought the band was back in, but they weren't. So then like 2 years went by. So it was like end of 2019, maybe beginning of 2020. I'd already been working on a song, and Kyle and I have been playing pool all the time. And like we were just like, maybe we should ask TJ and Parker if they want to come back. And I think at that time, financially, they were in a good spot. I think just me hanging out with them more often was enough. And there's a lot of history. It's not history. It's just like sometimes those moments are a blur because so much has happened. And with COVID happening, I feel like those 2 years were just straight blur.
Yeah. I mean, I remember it was never really like officially said or anything. We just kind of started getting together to do writing sessions.
Yeah.
And I was just coming when I could because my kids were getting older and just staying busy with life. And then I don't remember really even getting to know the other guys that well until that first tour we did on the West Coast in was it 2022?
Yeah. With
Fallstar and The Undertaking. And that's when I feel like I really bonded with the guys, with Parker and TJ.
Did Kyle just do a couple?
I think Kyle hopped in on the Pacific Northwest dates.
Okay.
But after that tour, I just feel like it just felt so natural.
Yeah.
And everything kind of fell into place after that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's cool too because we all have really, like, I feel like we all have really good strengths in so many different areas. Like, I feel like you have a really good like dad leadership vibe, which I thought I had for a long time because I'm just alpha in a way. But you actually have a dad vibe. Kyle does too, but Kyle's just nutty all the time. Like everyone thinks he's on cocaine, but he's not. He's not.
Yeah, he's just like
never
that.
done that, but he seems like it. So he's a little bit more sporadic. But you kind of have a very good way of like controlling the situation and just kind of taking it with ease, but also having structure. So when we're on tour, it's like we have Parker, who's a mechanic, me, who's kind of doing like the business side of things, making sure like, you know, we're getting our wristbands and our guarantee and our drink tickets or whatever needs to happen on the tour managing side, I guess you could say. TJ is really good with merch. We all have our like really good like stuff that we're doing, and it's such a good like chemistry that we have. And we all have good conversations on the road. Like that's the thing, no one wants to be driving in silence because everyone hates each other. Like we literally just talk all the time about cool stuff.
Well, it's cool too because sometimes we'll just won't put music on and it will be silent for a while, but that kind of forces us to break it and, you know, actually talk about things. And
sometimes we talk about some heavy stuff too, and it's all good. It's healing and therapeutic. So I don't know. I love touring with you guys. I think it's a great I love touring with Ian and Cody too. That was fun, but that felt like more like a party. That was just a straight party.
It was different. It was different for
There's
sure.
a lot of stuff. What do you think, closing this podcast up? What's one of your favorite, most hilarious memories that you have from that era of the band with Ian and Cody?
Oh man, there's a few that come to mind, but I think we were in San Antonio, and what did you say? Cody had a beer like sitting outside the van or something, and somebody walked by and just like knocked it off. You said you like mouthed off to him or something.
He hit Cody's beer off the bridge as we were loading out. We were parked on this like bridge, and he had just opened it, and he was like, "Who the fuck hit my beer?" And I just hear someone, and the guy was down the street pissing on a guy's car.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, "Hey fucker, Cody, take over." I just started shit.
Oh yeah, you're like, "Do you want to die?" or something like that.
Yeah, I was like, "Do you want to die tonight?" That's what I said.
Well, then I think Cody started running after him, and then we all looked at each other like, "Well, we should probably go back him up."
And I'm of course behind everybody because I'm the fucking pussy, but I'm the one that started it like an asshole. Yeah, that was not a good. I should not have done that. That was fun. I we have that video of what's his name? He was the tour guy for Idola.
Oh, Jimmy,
duh. Jimmy, when you threw the beer bottle, we were at like some.
Oh, I was in Fresno, and he yelled degenerates or something. It just turned out to be a random funny video.
Yeah. No, there was some. The thing about tour is you go into these areas that are so sketch, and you just feel like you're constantly dealing with so many people and so many potential things. You never want to leave your van alone for more than 5 minutes without potentially getting it stolen.
Yeah, there's that venue in St. Louis that would literally tell you when you got there to not leave your van alone.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Those are some good times. But all in all, I'm glad that we're back as the ongoing concept with the bros, and it's really nice to have Andy. And the cool thing about Andy is that we basically, besides Parker, everybody does vocals on our songs. We have Andy doing vocals, we have me doing vocals, we have TJ doing vocals, and we have Kyle. And technically, maybe Parker someday, if he should, but
I keep telling him.
That'd be hilarious to be a 5-piece One Direction band. It'd be awesome. But anyways, okay. Well, this has been fun, and I think next time we should have the rest of the guys come in, and we
got to get the whole group together.
Yeah, and I think it'd be kind of fun if we get maybe Ian in on something too with you. I want to get Ian just because he's done a lot of music video stuff for us. He's helped direct or at least film, a lot of our older music videos. So I think it'd be a really fun conversation. So anyways, thanks for joining in. This has been TOC Talks with Andy Croteau, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you guys.